Personal protective equipment. Personal protective equipment, commonly referred as to PPE, is equipment worn to minimize exposure to hazards that cause serious workplace injuries and illnesses. These injuries and illnesses may result from contact with chemical, radiological, physical, electrical, mechanical, or other workplace hazards. Importance of PPE: protection, safety, increases quality of workday. Classification of hazard as potential source of harm to a worker: direct hazard, physical hazard, chemical hazard, biological hazard, and ergonomic hazard. Hazard controls measures. Engineering controls protect workers by removing hazardous conditions by placing a barrier between the worker and the hazard. Example includes exhaust ventilation to capture and remove airborne emission of machine guards to shield the worker. Administrative method. Administrative controls, also called work practice controls, are used in the workplace to reduce or limit exposure to specific hazard. This kind of hazard controls works by changing how work is done when elimination, substitution, or the use of engineering controls is not feasible. PPE method. This a third method of reducing hazard is to use personal protective equipment. PPE is worn on the body and protects employees from exposure to hazard. It includes respiratories, gloves, eye protection, ear plugs, hard hats, coverall, and safety shoes. Use of PPE. Head protection. Head protection is an item of protective materials which is generally designed to protect the scalp area, sometimes the jaw as well. Eye protection. Eye protection is mandatory in all areas with potential eye injury. This applies not only to persons who work continuously in these areas. Face shield. This consists of transparent visor covering the wearer's face as well as a suspension system to mount it on the wearer's head. Ear protection. Ear protectors are required to prevent noise-induced hearing loss. Hearing protection device reduces the noise energy reaching and causing damage to the inner ear. Respiratory protection. Respiratory equipment is used to protect the individual wearer against the inhalation of hazardous substances in the workplace air. Hand and arm protection. Potential hazard hands and arms include skin absorption of harmful substances, chemical and thermal burns, electrical danger, bruises, absorption, cuts, puncture, fractures, or amputation. Foot and leg protection. Foot and leg protection is required when working in areas where there is a danger in foot injuries due to falling or rolling objects or objects that may pierce the soles of the shoe, or where an employee's feet are exposed to electrical hazard. Leggings may be required where there is the possible of burns from extremely cold or hot materials. Fall protection. Fall protection is a part of safety equipment that is used to make working at heights safer. Torso, full body protection, or coverall protection. Many hazards can threaten the torso: heat, splashes from hot metals and liquids, impact, cuts, acids, and radiation. 1080 protection, personal protective equipment and devices. 1081 General Probation shall at his own expense furnish his worker with protective equipment for eyes, face, hands, and feet, protective shields and barriers whenever necessary by reason the hazardous nature of the process environment, chemical, radiological, other mechanical irritants of hazard capable causing injury or impairment in the function of the part of the body through absorption, inhalation, or physical contact. Rule 1082 Eye and face protection. Eye and face protective equipment shall be required where there is reasonable probability of exposure to such hazard. In such area, the employer shall furnish a type of protective equipment suitable the work to perform as employees shall be used such equipment. 1083 Rule 1083 Respiratory protection. The primary corrective measure in the control of occupational disease caused by harmful dust, fogs, fumes, mist, gases, smoke, sprays, or vapors shall be prevent atmospheric contamination. This shall be accomplished through the use of application of accepted engineering controls measures like enclosure and confinement of the operation, general and local ventilation, and substitution less toxic materials of combination of these. Rule 1084 rule, head protection. Hard hats shall be made of non-combustible or slow-burning material and when used in electrical environments shall be non-conductor of electricity. Hand and arm protection. When selecting gloves, considering should be to the hazard which wearer may be exposed to and is a free movement of fingers. Safety belts, life lines and safety nets. Rule 1085. Workmen working is unguarded safe surface above open pits or tanks, steep slopes, moving machinery to similar location or working from unguarded surface 6 feet or 20 meters, 20 feet. That's all.